I guess some people will share. Do you want to, yeah. Just give it. Pass it around. Could you give us an understanding of what happened? We understand the Chief Elections Officer has presented a report, and he's used a preamble to that. He spoke about the report not reflecting the will of the people, but nonetheless he's operating based on the directives. I've also seen a statement by you and fellow commissioners here that you're distancing yourself from this declaration. Could you give us an understanding of
That's quite correct. We are of the continued firm conviction that we entered into a process called the recount, which was intended to do a tabulation of the votes, as well as to make observations so we could arrive at a credible result. No one in this country has attempted in any way to question the fact that impersonation has been perpetuated during the elections, that dead people were voted, that people who did not have the relevant documents for employment, certificates of employment, voted, that people who did not have the relevant affidavits voted, and therefore these results are undoubtedly corrupted. There are those who are arguing that this is a matter for a petition. We, however, feel firmly that we have a very peculiar situation where we've been able to discern these things before we got to the end. And it's on us to take a decision on results, knowing that those results are corrupted and fraudulent. Notwithstanding all of the pronouncements of all of the courts and everyone else, we are distancing ourselves from the declaration which has been made today.
Okay. Both of the leaders, even though they were given an option to discuss a way forward, opted to basically say they would await a declaration and move forward with any petition.
I am not quite sure that was the initial disposition of Mr. Granger. I think Mr. Granger was prepared to enter into discussions. I think that Mr. Jaggi said he would have no discussion until the declaration has been made. I think in the national interest, because of, not of elections, but because of the state of the nation and what is evolving, these elections have just been an occasion, a moment. They're not reflective of the difficulties, they're reflective of the difficulties that they themselves cannot resolve, the elections cannot resolve. And therefore, in that context, and in national interest, Mr. Granger is committed to having talks with Mr. Jagdeo immediately after, for the real problem that this country is faced with.
With the CEO submission of this report, was that followed by any declaration at today's meeting, or is this the declaration?
We have not witnessed a declaration. In the normal way, there's haggling even about sentences in the report. And so we departed as the hagglers continued to haggle.
So you left the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
That's our way of disassociating ourselves from the declaration.
Thank you.
Please. Hi, good day. We're coming to you live from the Ghana Elections Commission, where the Chief Elections Officer, Mr. Keith Lowenfield, would have submitted an elections report in accordance with the directive of the Chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission, Justice Claudette Singh. Now that report reflects data from the national recount. And if I could just read a bit from what he said in that report. He said, in accordance with Article 177, 2B of the Constitution, it is worth restating that on the 6th day of the 2020 revealed that there were numerous irregularities. In fact, the chief elections officer, in his initial report on the recount, I think about 5,000 irregularities, and that also included cases of voter impersonation. And so, based on the report he submitted today, he's saying to the Commission that it does not reflect the true will of the Guyanese people. However, given the instructions of the chairman, he submitted that elections report based on the national recount. And that recount data shows a win for the People's Progressive Party. According to the report, the PPP secured 233,000 votes approximately, and the APNU secured 217,000 votes. I'm giving you approximate figure. So it's showing a win for the People's Progressive Party. We're not sure at this point in time whether the Elections Commission would have declared the results. We just spoke with Mr. Vincent Alexander and the other government-nominated commissioners, and they would have indicated that they are distancing themselves from that declaration because they feel as though the recount was undertaken with the primary objective of determining a final credible count, and based on the CEO's report, that could not have been determined due to the mass irregularities, voter impersonation. I think there were several statutory documents that were missing. 47 boxes or thereabout that had missing documents. In fact, those boxes had absolutely no documents inside, and so they have opted to distance themselves from the declaration that is expected to be made by the chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission. And the president, earlier today, the chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission would have reached out to President David Granger with the hope of having him speak with the opposition leader. And I think that conversation did not take place because the opposition leader, Mr. Barry Jagdeo, indicated that he preferred to have any discussion after a declaration. The president indicated that should there be a declaration, the APNU is holding fast to its long-held position that the recount unraveled or unearthed significant irregularities, and so that they'll be moving to the court, the High Court, which has exclusive jurisdiction to deal with an election petition to determine whether the 2020 elections were free and fair. And today marks 5 months since elections were held in Guyana, and we are awaiting a declaration. We'll continue to bring you live updates. We have some supporters. And based on the public relations officer of the Ghana Elections Commission, Ms. Yolanda Ward, we're seeing here that Mr. Mohammed Irfan Ali has been declared president of Guyana. This declaration is being made, like I said, 5 months after elections were held in Guyana on March 2, 2020. We'll continue to speak with some of the commissioners, some of the supporters, and hopefully we'll get a chance to hear from the chairman of the Elections Commission, Justice Claudette Singh. I'm Swatlana Marshall coming to you live from the Ghana Elections Commission headquarters here at High and Coan Street. We'll just give you a glimpse of what is happening outside of the of Gecom headquarters.